we're live.
Next meeting.
Great, welcome everybody to executive committee meeting on July 7th at 6:30. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Fisher?
Here.
Dr. Fisher?
Here.
Ms. Crimer?
Here.
Ms. Mail?
Here.
According to the paper, there's another guy here.
Correct, it was announced at last council meeting that Danny Knapp is on the committee.
He's missing his first meeting? I'll get on him.
Yeah, he's fired.
Oh,
There's an issue with the email. I'm told that while his village email was being set up, that information was sent to his personal email.
Yeah.
I was assured of that, so presumably he got the invite.
I'm always looking for a reason to fuss ain't, so.
all right. Everybody had a chance to look at the agenda, any updates, modifications before we adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
If you could fix my typo in the pending items, that would be lovely. So it's
Did I
no
miss something?
updated yet. Should be not updated yet.
No updated yet. I like it the way it is though. I could change it for you. I'll fix it.
All right, so Mel has a motion to adopt. Do I have a second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Do not show that we have anybody registered to address the committee today. Minutes from June 9th. Any updates, concerns there? I'm gonna have a motion to.
You know me, I always review them. I make a motion to approve.
Second? And then I will second it. Great. All in favor? Do we have it all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right.
Where's your put up?
Okay, on the agenda, we've had this pending item of annual code enforcement report from Jim Putoff. He wasn't able to attend one of the meetings when he initially sent it out. I don't know if anybody has had a chance to look at it or not. I will reach out to Jim before our next meeting, see if he actually wants to attend, because this has just been a lingering item. Otherwise, we'll go over it in the next meeting, answer any questions that we can by ourselves, and then take this off the agenda.
So you're saying he's already submitted a report?
He
I
emailed out a
missed
report.
that. Okay, all right.
It was a couple months ago, he was supposed to come to that meeting and present, and I don't remember what happened either. Didn't have quorum, or he was not able to attend. I believe he was not able to attend, and so we just had it as a lingering.
I think that first meeting there was not quorum. And then there was,
And then
that was
last
2
week-
months ago. Then last month, I don't remember what
It's been
happened.
on for a couple, more
Yeah.
than two.
It was more than, okay.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll find it.
All good. I will reach out to Jim specifically, and then we will review in August with or without him. All right, next on the agenda, we have reviewing the master plan for the parks RFP. We received one revised proposal from the two design firms that submitted initially, and then we received a proposal from our engineering company.
So question, so the engineering company was way lower
Yes.
than the other two, but for the one of the two who resubmitted, it seems like the resubmission was higher than the first one.
Yeah, I noticed.
Only by like $1,000 or something, but what was between, when we asked them to resubmit, what was the language there? Like, why did they go up, I guess?
It was the same, I literally sent the same email I thought you forwarded the email that I sent that had the two attachments, didn't you?
You didn't,
I thought I sent it to you and you forwarded to them and you CC'd me with the same language.
yes, I think I took the information from
Yeah.
what you sent to the engineers and I copied it into my reply to the design firm. So I'm not sure if it's $1,000 different, I can ask, but I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't that much difference, but I'm wondering why it went up and just curious to know what the language was when we asked them to resubmit, like, hey, this is, because I know we've asked them to update it a couple of times, so I'm just kind of wondering, like, what new information they had to make it go up is all.
Yeah, so all I sent them was what had been shared with me that was communicated to the engineers. So
Right.
And that was, I had literally forwarded you the email that I had sent to the engineers. So just to be clear, it was the same language.
No, I believe it, yeah, it's
Right,
not
and-
that.
So,
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so I gave them the attachment of creating the futures, which is the park survey that we had done, and then whatever this executive committee report. Oh, I think I attached the wrong thing for them.
Uh-oh.
So they got our executive committee report. Maybe, is that real? Yes, apparently that's real.
That's why they charge me.
You know, I think they're charging more because we've strung them along for 7 months.
I mean,
I would if I was a consultant, but that's just me.
yeah.
So apologies. I apparently sent them one of the wrong things, and they didn't tell me that. But I gave them the language in the email was the community survey is priority, and then the park design master list is secondary reference. That is apparently the piece I forgot to attach. I gave them our report instead.
Okay. But based on the information I have now, I am ready. So we haven't talked about numbers. So the engineers are basically quoting 15,000 for what we asked for, and the other people are 36,000 maybe. So one is like double the
I
other.
think we should be very clear in what they're saying that they're giving us. So I would suggest as a committee, we go over that because I
Okay.
don't know that they are apples to apples.
That's true.
Because one is an engineering firm and one is a design firm that has an engineer on the team.
Right. And I also want to make sure that we are prioritizing the results from the park survey, not whatever other drawing or something that they have too. Because I'm reading, let me pull it up so I'm not.
So NKSK, they said.
Like 4 pickleball courts and basketball courts to shelter I just want to make sure whatever these additional items that they are writing in here is what is in line with the actual parks survey.
So in our last conversation, I believe that's what we said. There
Okay.
was some differences there
Right.
between what our park survey said and wherever this list that was created and shared.
Right.
This park feature list,
Right.
where I'm not sure where that came from. But that's the one that had the pickleball courts. Hold on, I just closed it.
Shelter houses with shades, splash pad, concessions, like there's a list of stuff that they plan to include in their renderings that I want to make sure, again, because it's apples to apples. Because one is definitely double the other, one quote.
Right, so I think it's not just like what they're gonna consider, but it's also like what we will get out of that,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
So what the deliverables are stated in.
Yeah.
Right, so what the engineers are saying that they will do is a draft park design with conceptual plans that then needs to be designed further, right? And it says that it will include the walking path, which I know we're talking about in council today, amphitheater improvements, space for existing soccer field, which we don't actually have an existing soccer field. I know that there is a low budget soccer thing that's being played on there. And then all existing facilities will remain. And then they've got the additional things, but it's conceptual plans and a summary memo.
Mhm.
And then that's it. So then the other one that we're looking at, what they're saying that they're gonna give us is.
Understanding concept plans and a master plan for 36,000.
Correct, which is what we've asked for, more in line with what we asked for in the original RFP and what we asked them for in the new version of it. So like consider these additional things.
And the other people have not responded at all.
Correct. And what they're also saying is that they're gonna give us 2D plans, programming diagrams, illustrative site plans, and then preferred conceptual master plan and studies. So I think what I'm taking out of this is that we are getting 2 different levels of service. I
Right.
think that's what you're paying for.
Right.
One is coming from a design firm with an engineer on the team, and one is coming from just engineers.
Without the design.
Right.
And to be clear, like we have a relationship already with the latter, like the engineering firm. So they have privy, I guess, to more information than what the design firm does have. like we have regular conversations with them, we already have a
We
working
have an existing
relationship.
relationship,
That's
but I
correct.
don't know that that's gonna. I don't.
But they know our better than.
They understand budget
Right,
better.
right.
Right. That would be it.
You know what's going on with the, walking path too.
Yeah, they
But
definitely
it's
have
like
way
it's
more
100%.
insight to,
Right, but that's all information that can also be shared.
correct.
You know, there's issues that I'm not completely privy to, I didn't talk about in council, though, there's issues with the retaining wall and with, the water flow around where so they're like aware of all that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
But they know
engineering
the
stuff.
issues with the park, because they've done the sidewalks and they've done the field, they've done, like, they're aware of issues in the park. They know what's underneath the dirt, you know, so they have that dynamic.
Just for a point of clarification, this is a committee meeting.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
you're right, you're correct.
So I'd like to keep it in the committee, because you've had a chance to talk about this with other folks, so I'd like to keep this in the committee if we can. If you do have a point,
I'll raise it. I apologize.
thank you. But all of that information should be recorded, documented, and be able to be handed over to anybody that's working on any of our projects. Questions? Are we ready to make a decision? Do we want to invite these folks in to ask questions? What is the feasible next step? This has been a lingering item for
Right.
quite some time.
My gut feeling for the size of the village and our budget, it makes more sense to go with the cheaper. You're right, what we have on the table is more expensive with more professional, and then we want to say more professional, meaning because they want to cover more items, than having cheaper professional in the engineering part, but not so much in the planning part. My gut feeling would be to go with the cheaper, with the engineering company, to fulfill our needs. I think that this will suffice, would be good enough for what our village size is, and going with groups that are comparing us with massive parks and massive items that they have done in other places. Look at their portfolios, it's on much bigger and much wider, bigger places. We're small town, so I feel that it makes more sense to go with a small town engineering type of a plan. That's my humble opinion.
Others?
So it's obvious to go with the cheaper option. The only thing is, it's really not apples to apples. Like, it's just like, are we giving them, like, we're just continuing this cycle of just going with who we know.
I don't know, I like,
Because
to
we
me,
have
if
a-
I
we
was
have a
making a decision
relationship
with
with
the
them.
house, right?
Yeah.
If I
Just
was
stick
a
with the
rich person
contractor.
and sitting, no, if I was a rich guy sitting in a mansion, I would hire a different person, even to just paint my house, than me sitting in Gulf Manor, because
Yeah,
again, that's where I live, and that's the type of house I'm in, and that's my budget, so I'm gonna go with that. Oh, but the other guy will be able to paint beautiful pictures. I get it, but that's not what I need right here. I'm
but
living
I am
in-
also an advocate of sticking with what we know too, if they've never like harmed
That's a
us, I
different-
guess, so, but,
I think there's also an argument for you get what you pay for, right?
yeah,
And I think, what do we want the village to, what is the goal of the village? What do we want that to look like?
right.
Is it worth paying somebody with that in mind versus doing a shoestring budget? So it's, for me, it's short-sighted or long-sighted when we're thinking about this. If you
But it's a
really-
$20,000 difference.
It is a $20,000
Yes.
difference. But I think you get what you pay for as well. Like this, I think there's a difference in what they're actually gonna be doing and the folks that are gonna be doing this and their skill set. One is engineering, it's very technical, and the other is like thinking
Artistry.
through, what does the community need? How do we include all of these other options? And I think you really do get what you pay for it. And for your analogy, to me, it's, do I have money to actually do this, or should I not be doing this at all? So if I'm thinking about paying somebody to do something at my house, if I can't afford to have them do, it's not an option of like, well, I live in Gulf Manor, we just need to go with a cheap option, because that devalues our community, right? We're saying we're a cheap community. right? So like, for me, it's, if I don't have the money to actually invest, if that's what we're saying, we don't have $35,000 to actually put into this plan, then we need to hold on it in general. I wouldn't say like, well, then let me go with the cheap option, because you're gonna get what you pay for.
I hear you, but, I think that people want to see movement in the park and stuff happening in the park as soon as possible. And
I agree,
to
but I don't
table-
think they
and
want
to
it on a
table it-
shoestring
And to
or
table it,
hodgepodge.
but to table it for that reason is definitely not good, because we don't have the money. I think that people would rather us use the resources that we have to be able to pull something off than tabling it for a later time when we do have more resources. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask if either of you two have an opinion.
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, just the task one, like understanding piece of it. It seems like that foundation the engineering company already has, right?
Right.
So that's like kind of built into that, where they're not necessarily doing as detailed of a task one because they have some of those pieces. The other thing on this MKSK that I think is very important is this preliminary planning level budget for all of those, like what that's going to look like, which to me is like a really important piece, because we're just talking about the design, but we have no idea how much any of this design is going to cost. But I see like the pros and cons of that. So we're going to put $30,000 into a design, but then find out that everything's too expensive for us to build. That doesn't seem like a good position for us to be in either, right? So again, like we're not comparing apples to apples, but I'd rather see more of our money go into what we're actually building more than like the more sophisticated level design, I guess.
Neither of these are going to what we're actually building, engineers or
Right,
design firm. None of them are going, it's all going to paper,
Yeah,
right? It's all going to design documents.
So, right.
which
That's
makes
what I'm
sense to go
saying,
over
right?
cheaper,
Like-
honestly.
Or are we not, I think Eric brought this up a couple weeks ago, are we not going with any of these services and putting the money towards a walking path?
What did you say? I'm sorry?
You brought this up a couple meetings ago, of like, are we not going with a master plan at all? And saying we don't have the budget for it, we don't know where the funding is gonna come long term, and this $35,000 plan.
Can
or
just go
plan
towards-
To go
right.
towards a walking path.
Something also that I think I was not so clear on, and I'm just curious if you have a better idea. The Abercrombie Engineering additional services on page 4, they give an option for spending another. It's between the two is $10,500. My understanding from JMA's response was that part of it was the feasibility review. So if there is one apples to apples piece, it might just be that overlap of $5,000. That was one thing that I noted. Another thing I noted was in the community engagement piece. I thought that was requested to be removed.
We did,
Right.
that's why they put it on as option.
Okay, because that was, meaning it shows that in the optional, but it also, somebody else pointed out in task 1, that a big piece of task 1 is, community feedback well, okay, maybe that's just from the existing community feedback. Maybe I just misunderstood that. So, okay, but yeah, so that's a separate point. But if there is one piece which seems to be quote unquote an apples to apples comparison, it would only be that JMA is accomplishing one of the additional services that MKSK is saying they definitely are not going to do.
I was going to mention that at the last part of the potential infrastructure and future considerations, if we need anything else as part of this plan, which I think is an important thing to know, right? Not to get to the end of the design and then realize that we need a whole bunch more things that we need to plan.
But again, I think that goes to what you're saying is it's not really an apples to apples comparison. It's one is a bigger image, which eventually then you would take it to the engineers to build, and the other one is maybe we're past that step. Maybe that would be the question is, are we past that step that we would feel comfortable moving forward with the TEC already kind of past those design pieces and we're comfortable enough with seeing what they have to offer?
Yeah, I would say, I don't know, I'm not sure that we are past that step since there's this park list that doesn't match if we were just operating under the park survey, that feedback, I would say, yes, we're there. But now we have this new piece of a park, like dream list is what I'll call it, because I'm not sure what it is called. And that tells me that there is not alignment of like what we actually want out of the park.
So should those be resubmitted would be the next question. Going back to the design firms and saying, okay, remove that list, only go based on the parks, and that would be for TEC as well. Can they update the quote based on just that?
I don't think that the quote is dependent on that. I think like in their design process is what we tell them is priority. So I don't think us taking out a dream list is gonna change their quote, because again, these are design plans.
Mm-hmm.
It's just whether or not they design for 4 pickleball courts, or they design
So
for
we could,
basketball
you're saying
courts.
we could change that, that would be an easy enough
Correct.
tweak.
Like part of
Okay,
the
okay.
initial process,
Right.
and this is like, I think it's very clear to me in the MKSK docs that that's a part of the process, like sitting down with us, understanding, doing multiple revisions of that.
Mhm.
In the engineering, there's just not as much detail. So I'm not sure if that's a part of it or who would be a part of that, but I think it's important to make sure that there's alignment in prioritizing. And what I had shared with MKSK is that the community park survey is the priority document.
Right.
And this park list that was created by somebody else is secondary. So I think, again, it doesn't, and neither of the quotes are gonna change based off of that.
You have an opinion, Ms. Gwen?
I'm not in this committee.
Oh, that's right, okay. All right, so I'll say, I guess it'll be a motion. My motion is actually to go with JMA / TEC? TEC. But instead of whatever dream list they have, to tell them the priority is, that park survey. So that would be my vote.
So you're putting a motion on the floor to move forward with the TEC park plan.
Correct,
But
with
it's-
the amendment that,
It's amended, you're saying?
yes, it is amended, as opposed to what they have
Right.
listed in their proposal, to make sure they are prioritizing what is in that park survey, not what's on this dream list.
Gotcha.
But I do like the 15,000 as opposed to the 36,000.
Okay, so that's a motion we have on the floor. Do we have a second?
Can I interject something?
Yeah.
I don't understand the motion. You're saying prioritize or eliminate those things that were from the other list. I mean, I'm jumping in here.
So I will say that I think that the dream list is inspired by the survey, but in my opinion, doesn't capture the survey.
Okay,
So I want them to make sure that they're reinterpreting the survey, essentially.
so again, if you're gonna talk about a contract, you wanna make sure they understand.
Okay.
And you're saying you want, when you say prioritize, do you mean they endeavor to do it within their budget, or do you mean take those other things off and just go with the survey? And those are the things we want you to do.
I'm not really sure what the difference is, but I'm gonna go with the latter.
So what I understand you're asking them to do is on this quote that we have received from them, what we want to see is the list change on the quote so that where it says additional items to be considered in the plan, that is revised to just link to the park survey from 2023. And then they can use the additional information that they received from the village as a secondary
I'll go with that.
input.
Yes.
But the park survey is the priority and what should.
Correct.
What
Like
they should-
dugouts and scoreboard, for example, for baseball fields, I have to go back and look at the survey, but I don't remember that being in the survey. Like, so that would be something that's like, go back to the survey.
I don't think. you have a single
Pickleball back
section.
then was not being played.
So the motion
Pickleball
is,
was super popular.
Pickleball was
Most of it got
popular, but I don't see
It's a
football
survey.
on here. Like, I remember the boys wanting football. I'm gonna argue with the football just because I distinctly remember that. But I mean, football and soccer, like, that's a big open field, and that also makes it good for like community events. Like, just do the path and leave it a big open field that we can just paint or something like that. Like, we can make it super simple at this point.
so if I could clarify your motion for the minutes, the
Sorry.
motion is to accept the JMA TEC proposal for the park plan, but to prioritize the park survey the park design draft document should be considered a secondary document only. Is that
Sure.
correct?
Yes, we'll go with that.
Can I ask if they've done park design before?
Yes. They told us that they had.
TEC.
Yeah.
They've done park design
Yes.
100% on their own, not given design plans to execute from other places.
So when they were JMA, yes. They combined with, the TSA bought out JMA, but the people that we deal with directly are JMA. They're all the main people from
They
JMA.
have
Whatever
an
the name changed.
engineering and design team.
They used to, and then they went more specific towards, am I remembering what Jennifer said correctly? That they used to do park designs?
They still do.
Oh, they still do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
That's part of their.
Okay, I thought that was,
service design
I thought that
agency.
was something that they no longer offered, so.
They're not, they're more engineering than they are design, so Brittany is correct about that.
Uh-huh, okay.
Right, so we have a motion on the floor. Eric, could you please recapture that for me?
The motion was to accept the JMA-TC proposal for the park plan by Ms. Mail, but to prioritize the park survey. The park design draft document, that's so-called, should be considered a secondary document only.
Do we have a second?
I'll second
Do you have clarification for the motion?
I don't have clarification, I just, what does that mean? What is a secondary document?
We want them to design with the park community plan. If they are like, hey, we have extra space, we want them to go to that secondary doc and be like, this is where we could wiggle this in, or give us the pros and cons. Okay, I can't do this from your
Okay.
original plan, I could do this.
Now I understand.
Priority would be the community survey.
Thank you, that's.
So if I may add, the engineer is going to want to know what we want in the plan. So we're not, it sounds like we're choosing the company that's going to execute our list as opposed to dreaming up other things to go into the list. That's the difference between the two firms essentially. So if
Okay.
we say to them, here's the park survey, put these things in there, I think that it needs to be directed from the village in terms of what that list looks like. So we need to combine the two if we wish to.
So again, this is, we don't have a second. I think your motion is officially died at this point. I
That's
don't
fine.
actually know in Robert's rules, but I'm gonna go say it's died.
That's fine. I mean, he seconded
I
it,
think,
but
oh, you did second it? Okay,
But
right, so
it's-
it's discussion.
it's fine, yeah.
This is again why I think like we cannot compare apples to apples. Do you all think that we are ready as a committee to be like, these are the exact 5 things we want in this park, and we know exactly how they will spatially fit, and we understand that, or do we want somebody who is an expert in their field to walk us through that? 'Cause I personally want somebody to walk us through that. Otherwise, I think we're gonna end up with a half-baked idea. We're gonna waste money. So I'd rather either, for me, I would put a motion to accept the MKSK, or I would put a motion to just put the money towards walking path. I don't wanna pay for a half-baked idea. I think that's just wasting money.
So even in this current plan, they are gonna give us some advice. And they're gonna consider what fits into the park. That's what they're writing over here. Obviously, it's not gonna be close to what the other one could give us, but they are gonna work with us. Otherwise, it will be straight out of plan writing.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know what this means. It says each plan, they're gonna develop 3 scaled conceptual plans, and then there'll be, the intent is to then move it into design. I don't know what that means. I'm gonna be honest. This is why I'm like, this feels like a waste of money, because I don't know what we're gonna walk out with, and are we gonna have to go to somebody else to get more planning done? Yes,
So Eric or Ron could probably correct me on this because they have more direct contact. My understanding is that what the proposal is they have this list of things. They're gonna give 3 basically pictures of how you could put these things in and how much it would cost, what the specifications are and everything, which we could pick from. We don't have to say, what we're gonna do is one of these 3 things. What it does is it informs us from an engineering standpoint, what things are gonna cost if they're put in different places. And if there's more things that we wanted on that list, I'm thinking we could come to them after they do this and say, what about this, and perhaps pay for that separately, or perhaps switch it out. I don't know. It seemed like what people want to do is maybe switch some of those things out if however many things were on that list don't capture some things. Like, so for instance, football field. We could say to them, when you're drawing the soccer field, make it so it could also be a football field, something like that. My bias is that we've worked with these guys before, so we can have that back and forth with them, whereas it becomes so much more formal if we're doing it with someone that we haven't worked with and is used to dealing with cities rather than villages.
Their plan does not say that they actually give us pricing on any of it. I think that was what Dr. Manor pointed out, was that they actually are not giving us pricing or any understanding of that.
Well, I'm wrong on
It's
that,
just,
unless Eric or.
That was part of the request, so I'm confused why they wouldn't have included that, but, it's,
pros and cons.
It says future funding considerations, but that seems a little less.
Well, it says potential infrastructure for future funding, which again. But then they have like, the explanation of that is lighting, video cameras, and drainage. So they're not giving us a budget breakdown.
So this is TEC or MK?
TEC.
the same thing as JMA and TEC are the same thing.
Right, but I'm looking to see
MKSJ
what
had in
they,
there that they would give us budget information, well, projected estimated.
yeah, definitely assume that it came with how much these designs would cost.
From their current language, that is not clear.
Correct.
It's kind of an important piece when you're designing something.
So we're gonna push this off another meeting?
Would you all like that I invite them in to answer questions? I don't want to push it off without a clear next step.
I'd love to be able to ask them more questions about what it is we're getting, what their experience is, examples of
Great.
examples of what that looked like.
Okay, why don't I see if they can come to the August 25th meeting? And if not, is it an okay next step to you all send me questions? I can email them, ask for answers, and we can go over that if they're not able to make the August 25th meeting.
Was that a motion?
Does it feel like it's
There's
pushing
a
it down too
motion
much?
on the table.
What's that?
Do you feel like it's pushing it?
Mel's
Like,
motion.
Yeah, we
Um,
we could let it lie.
That's not
She
feel
just
qualified
laid
to
it
like.
on the table.
Mel's motion we need to deal with.
I mean, it just sounds like we're not ready, like I want everybody to
No,
be
no,
on
no.
the same
What
page,
I'm
that's
saying is
okay.
we need to either,
It needs to be all voted in favor or not.
Okay.
Right, that's
I mean,
what
we did technically have a second, but we
Right,
can
so
vote
we
it
can
down,
vote
that's
on it.
fine, I just want everybody to be on the same
Withdraw.
page. Or withdraw it. No, we wanna vote on it, I wanna hear the votes, we'll vote on it. You got a second, come on.
all right, we got a second. Can I, all in favor?
I don't feel.
All against? No. I'm not sure. I don't know what you want.
Make it official, guys. I'm a yes.
You're a yes, you're still a
Okay.
yes. I think.
Yeah, sure, yeah,
Okay,
yes.
David, we're still on a roll call.
You want me to roll call
Just
this?
roll call.
Okay.
Sure.
Alrighty. Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Dr. Fisher,
Can
can abstain.
You can say no, yeah.
Just say no.
And I'm a no.
I knew Brittany was a no.
Where are we?
So we're 2-2.
Well, we're 2-1-1.
Right.
I do
So
want everybody to be on
that
the same
So
page.
it
No.
doesn't have the,
Right.
okay, great. So
So
the dead
you guys
motion,
No, so yeah, you sure you want to keep it as a,
she wants more information.
if you want more information, then you're gonna have to kill it.
We've
Otherwise,
had an
it's not
official roll call, David. I think it is dead. Quit swaying people.
I mean, I hear an official roll call, it's two yeses and a no.
Abstention.
Abstention changes the majority. Abstention changes the majority, that it would be a
That means a
2-1.
2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, it passes
So
automatically.
staying,
Is worse.
Abstaining is worse.
make a call.
If you wish more
We can get more information, it's not.
information, a no vote would be better.
Abstention is a right under Robert's rules, so it should cancel.
Do you want to abstain?
Basically.
Nobody, let's stop with the pressure. Do you want to
Yeah,
abstain
we're
or do you
fine.
want?
Because I can't say yes or no on this.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
feel comfortable with it, so.
And that, why are you abstaining?
She
Usually
wants
that's
more
because-
information.
So then that's
Well,
all table.
usually that's because you have some conflict or something.
Yeah, because I to have equal
Not
conflict between yes
an
and no.
emotional conflict, a conflict of interest, who's been interested in the vote. That's usually what an abstention is for, not because you can't decide.
I would, if I may, I would disagree on that. I have abstained as a council member when we were doing our whole fire thing. I was appointed to council. I knew nothing about our fire services and I was being asked to vote on it. So I abstained.
Wow.
So that was because I didn't know enough.
Okay.
Okay, I think it's actually not an argument, it's Robert's rules, they're actually pretty black and white. So I
I just
think
want
what
to
we
make sure
need
we're
is like,
getting.
we just need clarification on Robert's rules. And solicitor, that is your job.
I got it.
I just decided to make this really exciting tonight for the board, so.
By the way, if anybody wants to know why I don't know them, I'm by the seat of my pants. Because
I know, get it together.
I know, you're absolutely right.
What are we waiting to know? That if she
We
could
need to know
abstain-
whether the motion passes or not.
Yeah.
And
We're not changing her vote.
If I abstain, it automatically passes?
Correct,
I mean, if you're abstaining, it's 2-1.
correct.
That's what we're cooking.
But then if it's bad, then it's not my fault, so.
Is that why you're abstaining?
Yes.
Oh, sweet lord, okay. All right, let's, while that's being figured out, let's keep moving on to our agenda item. All right, we went over the village administrator's annual review in our last meeting. What I realized after the meeting is that we did not have a discussion on the raise recommendation. Last year, we had clarification that if the review did not reach a 3 or above, that there was no annual raise recommendation. So as long as those rules have not changed internally, that would be what stays, correct? Has there been any internal changes to the merit process?
No.
Okay. So then I think we would likely probably need a motion.
I think it's inappropriate that I'm in the room for this discussion.
This is an open meeting. We don't need to go to executive session, but we can.
An executive session is never required. It is up to the body to vote. You can, again, people think because it's a matter of personnel, have to, don't have to. Now, if Ron feels uncomfortable being here, certainly, can leave. But you do not have to go to executive session.
Committee?
You're waiting for a motion
Motion.
to adopt what is adopted already?
So we are confirming whether or not we are recommending a raise based on the annual review.
And it was just shy of 3, right?
Correct, I don't have it up.
So a motion to, I guess, not raise, given that it was just shy of 3.
Correct.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Following the internal process.
Following whatever the internal process is.
Do I have a second?
Sounds like that one dies too. I'm just gonna shut up now.
I'll second. All in favor?
If we follow, I wasn't here for the last meeting, but if we follow the
This
rules.
is last year when we asked questions around what is our raise process?
Correct.
Does a 3, a
We
5,
have
a
to
4 all
follow-
get the same?
we have to follow our-
Correct.
No, the discussion before, any discussion?
Yeah. Discussion?
We discussed it last meeting too.
Well, you discussed last mean? I wasn't here.
We
I mean, a little
discussed-
bit. I
we
mean,
discussed the
you
review
want- we can
last
talk
meeting.
about it if you
We
wanna
discussed
talk
it.
about
We
it.
didn't
It's
discuss
fine.
the- we skipped over that piece, you by mistake.
So we didn't discuss any of it. We didn't go through any of it.
The review, yes, we discussed the themes of the review. We did not touch on this piece, and that's the part that we missed. Any discussion now? We have a motion, we have a second. Is there discussion?
Was there someplace that like threshold and procedure was written that I missed?
Probably not written.
We uncovered it in conversation in executive committee with Ron last year. I'm sure there is an internal, I'm sure it's documented somewhere internally, but I don't have access to that. It was just we went through this last year, like, okay, what does this mean? Do 3s, 4s, fives all get different raises, what's the bucket of the pool of increase, all of that. And what we were told last year is that it's sort of all or nothing, so a 3 and above gets the full raise amount. And a 3 and under gets 0, or I'm sorry, anything under 3 gets 0.
And that's standard procedure across all.
That's how it, from my understanding, and Ron, you could correct me if I'm wrong, that's how it is throughout the entire village. That's the merit-based structure.
Did you hear the question?
No, I didn't.
If you could confirm, Amanda was asking if that is in writing anywhere, what the increase policy is.
It is, you have to meet expectation or above to get an increase.
Do we do another roll call?
Is there any more discussion? Are we ready for a vote?
Ready to vote, unless there's a conversation from the.
I think I would like our committee to finish this unless your input is.
Just a clarifying, it's not really input. Is this about making a recommendation to the finance committee, or is it making a recommendation to council? That was my question. Was unclear on what the decision, who that's going to. I was thinking it was going to finance, but I figured I would clarify.
I think typically the process is recommendation to finance approves it, and then it goes to full council. With this being a recommendation of not an increase, I imagine it could go to full council.
Do you want it in finance?
It doesn't make a difference, all if it pertains to finance.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any more discussion? Okay. All in favor? Or do you want a roll call?
Roll call,
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Fisher?
yes.
And the yes means no.
This means we adopt the rules that we've had.
Correct, okay.
Dr. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Kramer?
Yes.
Ms. Mayo?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, next is our priority updates for the committee. Pay equity, I'm gonna email them because I've not seen anything. We're supposed to start that in the summer. I did get an update today that the health data is live on the website as of today, which is really exciting. I know that's not specifically a committee update, but I wanted to share that. And I'll send it out to everybody on council and committee. I would recommend looking at it. It has really interesting data for our community, and I think that will help us when we're making decisions. If you look at food insecurity, vehicle, all these sorts of things, it's really, really helpful the way that they've broken down the data. And I will also share, there is press release information that they asked us to share as well. So we can do that as soon as possible. Website and AV upgrades. I heard a little bit from community engagement. I did participate in the survey.
Oh, good.
Sorry, it's not on here, but I didn't have it at that point. So the survey has been sent out. I'll update that for the records. And anything else on that one, website and AV? I know you all were talking to different communities. I think I had written down Deer Park and Silverton were sort of a model that we liked. Or did I make that up?
Could you make that up? I don't know.
Website model, Deer Park, Silverton. I don't, okay.
Okay, maybe, I don't
We're
know.
giving like an example of like we would
Yeah,
have.
yeah, I think it was just an
The
example of like a website you like.
Oh, okay, but yeah, as of now, Dr. Miller, thank you she created the survey. I've been kind of busy with the events, so now this is the priority, the communication broadly, but AV is considered that when we come to the live streaming. So that survey is out. Anybody, please participate. As of now, we have 32 responses. So we'll continue
Do we have a
that.
deadline?
Do we have a deadline? I don't think so.
No.
No, but we'll maybe by next meeting or something like that, hopefully we'll have our like a little mini committee set up if anybody volunteered based on what we have, but the more information, the better. So no
Great.
drop dead date, yeah.
All right, and then management audit, David, last update, I know you weren't here at the last executive, but you had hoped to complete all of your meetings by then and share a report back.
So I didn't complete, I definitely started and I have meetings on my schedule.
Cool.
And, definitely movement over there.
Do you want space probably not the August if I'm not inviting people, or no, wait, we don't know what
I
happens.
would probably, we'll see if we need a closed door meeting for.
Okay. All right, and then, Minna, I got your survey as well for the onboarding and collaborative tool. I know, your survey, over there.
She's good with it.
Do you have, can you give us an update, how many responses?
Yeah, I believe I got 4 responses.
Cool.
The utility of the responses varies, but I did create like a rough draft of an onboarding document, and
Okay.
I'm hoping to send it to admin team just to check for accuracy.
Okay.
And then I'll bring it back into hopefully our next meeting, and we can take a look at that.
Okay, cool. All right, well, next meeting might just be a review of all these. David, pressure to get this done. All right, background check policy, unless there's anything else on old business, but background check policy, I have not had a chance to review that. I have all the questions that we wanted to take that we compiled at the last meeting, but there is no update. I'll put that back on the agenda once I've got one. Our announcements, next committee meeting for executive is Monday, August 25th at 6:30. If there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Oh, I'm sorry, we
One
need to
second, we
figure out
have
what happened with
something
our motion. Did it pass or die?
It died.
Really?
Okay,
Yes,
great.
the abstention goes to the negative.
That's what I thought, okay.
Abstain
Sounds like it's a
counts as a
tie.
no?
Yep,
That's, I'm telling you.
it doesn't change quorum.
Damn it,
is
Robert!
not- It is not in here clearly, but I've read a number of sections and that's what it points to. I was expecting it to say an abstention goes with the negative. There is a reference to an abstention though, and it says an abstention generally goes to the negative, so that's all we can do.
Yeah. It never can change the quorum, which is
It's
why
not that it's
it's
a no, it's that it's just not a yes.
right, but your quorum stays.
Yeah.
That's why it's a 2-1-1, but that's not a yes. That's not a majority yes.
It almost always helps the no's, but it's specifically not.
Well, that's kind of why they say it's in the negative. It's not a
Right.
no, but it's not
Not
a
a
yes.
So we do need to actually go back to that. Because we need to figure out what the next step is.
I prefer the motion to
Do that for next meeting.
get them in here, at least, the engineering group here, that we can have questions and figure out exactly what they're doing. The paper's not 100% clear. If we could have them at the next meeting,
Great.
that will give us more information to be able to do that. That's my motion. Do I have a second?
Sure, second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, I will email them if you all can do your homework of getting a list of questions together. Do not email them to me. Come prepared to the meeting.
Come
Never
prepare
had
the meeting.
With that, I make a motion that we.
Second.
All in favor?
I, no,
I'm gonna start abstaining.